And now we're going to be running on to Ghosts versus the Protoss matchup. Quick note about Ghosts, they only do 100 damage. That means they will do 100 shield damage and they will remove 100 energy. It will take 4 EMPs to completely neutralize a Archon. 3 EMPs will bring it down to 50 shields and 10 health. This is going to be a quick demonstration of Ghost Marine versus Archon. You can see there I just quite quickly spammed EMPs just to deal with them, and I was able to do it very well. So in terms of resources, I came out on top of that really well. This is going to be a second demonstration, and I believe we don't use EMP at all, and the Archons basically just destroy everything. Yeah. The Archons are pretty good when they got shields. Just a huge buffer unit. Alright, so this is going to be a demonstration of trying to deal with Templar Zealot. Oftentimes a very difficult matchup for the Terran player. As you can see, I'm just going to A-click and see what happens. And it turns out that my army composition is just better, and this is strictly, I believe, because the Ghosts didn't cup enough damage. So in these engagements, it's going to be now down to the Protoss. It's going to start using things like Storm and feedbacks. And, well, all I'm going to use in this instance is Stim. I'm going to try and bait out as many Storms as possible, which can be difficult, and I'm going to try and just avoid that and kill his Zealot buffer, then get to the Templar. So I split up some units. That doesn't work. I've just lost 2 Marines. Oh, big Storm on me. I've got to try and retreat out of that. Doing really nicely, but as you can see, I'm getting trapped. He storms behind my army, so therefore the Zealots are pushing my army into a storm. So there's really good storms there by the Protoss player. I'm going to try to kite as best as I can, but the Zealots still remain, being as buffered as they are. So in this time, we're going to try and maybe use EMP or Snipe to try and disarm our Templar from our opponent, which is pretty much the big dealers in there. So decent EMPs, trying to catch those Templar before they morph into an Archon, and then all of a sudden, it's a bunch of Marines, 1 Ghost versus this Archon. So to minimize even more damage, we're going to split up our units and then take out the Archon. Kill it before it merges is obviously more optimal. Now in this engagement, we're going to try and use Snipe. Snipe is very effective because it removes the Templar buff. And in saying that, I mean, like, it's killing the actual Templar, so it can't keep morphing in Archons, which means I have to waste more DPS, which means I have to get more EMPs, which means I need more Ghosts, because most times Terran players just won't have that. Now, unfortunately, this engagement didn't go very well for me, because I ate too much Storm. My actual Ghosts died in the process. They had full energy, got feedbacked, and I eventually killed his Templar, but at what cost? Now, we're going to try and use a bit of everything in this engagement, and he's just going to come at us with everything he's got. But, optionally, what you might want to do against a Protoss player is if his units are stacked, and you can catch them while they're stacked, that is the optimal time to drop down the EMPs. But we know this doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you can overshoot with the EMPs, and that's exactly what happened in this. Ooh, another big storm. We're kind of just kiting out of here. He just storms us once again, and unfortunately we can't get it. So we had a few battles back and forth between me and this other Protoss, just for the recording sakes of this, and it turned out pretty well. Obviously there were a lot of battles we missed, but the main objectives remain. You know, you've got to try and snipe the EMPs, snipe the Templar, drop down the EMPs on clumped units if possible. Like, it comes down to decision making, because if you can get those EMPs, you can get those snipes down, then this unit composition decides to get a much less effective. Like, as a Terran player with a lot more Marines, your DPS just cuts down Zealots before they can get to them. This is a larger scale battle. We're just going to kind of run at each other. I'm just going to drop down EMPs like it doesn't even matter, and just see who comes out on top. I think I got the better of this engagement. Yeah, I really did. Got down heaps of clumped EMPs, and now it's just a bunch of morphing Archons. Fantastic. Alright, so the next problem you're going to face when you go up against decent Protoss is they're going to start having observers in your composition, and we're going to want to try and pick them apart like we would the Zerg player. So that means cloaking units and trying getting snipes off. Removing the observer allows your Ghost to get a lot closer. Getting a lot closer means you can snipe and kill the Templar, and then you can engage the army. He's only going to have things left like Zealots and Colossus. But this is and Archons. So as long as you have Marine Marauder Viking and you get rid of his Templar, you can engage that army on a decent plateau, unless he has like a severe amount of Colossus. But at that point, we're not really going to be worrying about that. This is strictly Zealot Archon Templar versus Marine Ghost, which is the composition you want to deal with this. Going back to the whole observer point. You want to scam, you want to kill as many of these observers as possible, and then you want to get up close and personal, kill his Templar, and just go nuts at it. As you can see how I have a lot of cloak ghosts. A lot of cloak ghosts. So there's just some small demonstrations for you guys. Optionally, Protoss are going to start wanting to get more than one observer if they realize this is your tactic, because sniping one observer can be quite easy. It also depends on observer placement. In this game, we got observer speed, an upgrade not too greatly utilized by our Protosses, but at the same time, he can still see what's going on. That's why he's killing all my ghosts, because I didn't clean out any of his observer buffer. He kills my ghosts, then just runs at me, then just does what Protoss 2 and spams T, and I die. Very unfortunate, but it happens to all of us, and now all of a sudden, look at this. I've got a bunch of Marines left, he's on top of everything, it's just Archons morphing in everywhere, and I just traded super badly. We're dropping scans, it's like, it's the end of the game. Might even mule him just to be annoying. But optionally, what we would really and ideally like to do, showing us a quick graph here about how many units we've got, is we want to kill everything. All the observers, we want to kill them as effective as possible, so we're going to scan, be like, oh my god, here we go. Focus fire the observer. He can't see me anymore. Now I'm just EMPing and sniping and doing whatever I want. I've got a huge concave of Marines, and just look at the difference in the battle. Look at it. Massive difference. So be wary of that, Terrence. Try and bait out the observers, kill them. If you can't kill them and you can't cloak and kill his Templar, try and play more defensive. Worry about things like maybe him doing a counter drop. Alright, in this instance, it's kind of scanning, trying to kill as many observers as possible. This is just a very big bait out. This is what late game on a high level TVP looks like. It's smaller amount of units doing more squad type work. I'm going to be getting some big EMPs. I'm trying to use small groups of ghosts to do damage rather than big groups of ghosts, because then they're just going to get stormed. Huge EMPs going down, and it still might not be enough. Trying to recall all of these battles. Oh, not doing too bad. The Archons are actually being left alone. Here comes the Templar by itself. 2 more Archons. Yeah, not the best engagement for our Mr. Protoss. So it's just a demonstration of using scans and small squads of ghosts to clean out observer buffs. Raven